Alright guys, welcome back. Today we're gonna install the staging brake so we can get some preload on our drivetrain when it comes to making some passes at the drag strip. This comes from Nameless Performance, really great guys over there. This is the 13-inch version, I want to say. They do have an 18-inch version as well, which would make it even taller. I didn't want to go too crazy with like in-your-face type staging brakes, so this should be really good for our application. I did go ahead and lay out all the tools and everything that we're going to be using today, or for the most part, from what I think that I'm going to need. I figured I would let you guys know what you would need in order to do this project as well. I don't know of really many people, or any people, believe it or not, that have done this in a 15 plus STI, let alone any information on it. So this is basically just my research and things I've pieced together with the best plan that I have. We'll kind of learn as we go today, but I have a pretty good game plan to at least get started. So first off, obviously these bolts are Allen bolts. So I have, got an Allen wrench here. This is a 6mm, and then got an assortment of 13mm wrenches. All these bolts are 13s. Assorted screwdrivers, flathead, Phillips, short, long, big, small, and then an assortment of ratchet and sockets. I have both 12-point and 6-point, depending on what kind of bolts we run into. This is probably one of the most important parts that we're gonna need. This is a 37-degree flare tool, brake line, like hard brake line flaring tool. You're gonna need 37 degrees in order to do AN fittings. Since we're doing all -3 AN fittings, that's what AN flare is 37 degrees. On top of that, we have compression, hardline fittings, and then just an assortment of other hoses, 3 AN fittings, and some new tools. We stopped by Home Depot today, picked up some Milwaukee tools, because yeah, we needed some. Other than that though, we have a piece of, I'm pretty sure it's mild steel, in order to build a bracket to mount it on. So this is 1/8 inch. I want to say mild steel, but I don't know. It's beefy, it'll do the job. My aluminum pieces weren't long enough that I tried, so we'll just use this as a template. Let's get into it. With that, we're gonna just go ahead and tear out the center console and try and figure out how to mount this thing. First thing we're gonna wanna do here is start undoing some of the bolts to get this back section here out of the way. So in order to do that, you're gonna have to reach in the center console here, pull out your little piece of carpet, and then there's 2 bolts. Preferably use a bigger screwdriver because they're bigger screws. Now you can see that it's already pretty loose. So the next thing you're gonna do is grab this Ebrake boot, I guess, yeah. From there, basically, all you're gonna do is you're just gonna lift up, and then your center console is pretty much free. Next, basically, what you're gonna have to do is get some kind of prying tool, or get your fingers behind this piece, and you're gonna pull out. That's what she said. And just lift up. And this guy just pops out just like this. Probably gonna have to put it back into a behind gear. So pretty much you can just slide this shift boot over the shifter as well. Oh, maybe I should take the knob off. Yeah, you can see I slid it off. And now you have a clip here, and this clip is for the illumination of the STI logo here. So from here, you want to get this guy out, this little plastic piece here, and I'm pretty sure that these little white clips are just like threaded. Unthread them and pull them out. Oh, dropped it. And we'll get the other one out as well. And then I think from here, this guy will just come off the same way, and It's rubber, so we can just slide it over the shifter as well. Now we have access to the actual shift linkage and a potential mounting point. The last thing that I want to do though is I want to get this side piece off. Basically it's just 2 screws, one there and one here. And then from here, this piece just clips into this piece, so you just pull this off. And then in the back here, far back, there's gonna be a clip that looks something like this, which is just like a pop clip pretty much. You're gonna need to get that out. I had already gotten it out prior, but from here, basically you just pull back and this piece is all out. So the next thing is undoing this little clip here that holds the airbag module electrical lines. So basically just pinch that with your fingers or a pair of pliers and pull it out. Just try and get all these wires out of the way. So we're gonna lift up on this one, and then there's another one here. So these two together are gonna go over the plate to mount it. But what I did is I cut the carpet here and put a little slit in it so that I could tuck it underneath the wires and keep the carpet as tight when we mount it here. So you might have to do some trimming and some cutting, but other than that, it should be pretty straightforward. So my goal here is to use these two 14mm bolts and mount a plate kind of right in line with this inside edge and up against this little screw here, so that we can still retain this clip for these wires and be able to have something that holds this in place. We might end up doing some trimming here on this little rubber plastic piece along this edge so that we can get the piece of metal butted right up against this metal. So with that, we're pretty much ready to do some cutting on our piece of sheet metal and mocking up our new staging brake mount with the old one that I had already kind of made as just like a rough piece. So let's go ahead and we'll hop into that. All right, so this is our new plate. It's just 1/8 inch, some sort of metal. It's sturdy, it's heavy, it's thick. They'll definitely hold the force. So what we're gonna start out doing here is I'm gonna measure it. Okay. And let's cut this and then we'll worry about the mounting holes after that.
Get out of my way.
All right, so we're gonna put it in my cheap Amazon $40 vise, you know. Go Nears! And don't talk shit on me, but if you leave a comment telling me that I shouldn't use a Sawzall, come at me, bro. Come at me, bro.
And them are some pretty straight cuts there, my guy. It's not bad for a Sawzall.
I mean,
do you have like sandpaper?
I got a grinder wheel.
Grinder wheel?
Yeah, we'll clean up the edges with a grinder wheel, like a flap wheel.
Flap. Well.
So we're gonna use this guy instead of this guy. Alright guys, so we got our plate here. This is the new one. This is the template one that I kind of designed before. So we're just pretty much going to use this same template. We'll probably just move it over a little bit. Probably something like that. Let's see. Here, let's go in the car. Let's look. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to utilize these two holes here, or these two bolts here, to secure it. So it basically needs to go up to there, which this tab is in the way, unfortunately, at the moment, but I think we'll be fine, honestly. So if we butted this up just flat like that, find out how far that is. It's right about an inch. So 1.25 inches, probably fine. We can make that work. What did I say again?
1.25 inches.
I know. I was wondering if you guys are paying attention. And him. Okay, so this is about 1.25 inches. So I think we'll just leave it just like that. Okay, so we got them marked. You can barely see, but it's time to bust out the trusty old new Milwaukee drill and our trusty new drill bits. So probably start out small. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, now it broke off. We got our plate here. We went ahead and notched it out for this piece right here so that we could get around it and not have to cut it out or anything, because I want the wire to be able to stay, you know, clipped in. So this is gonna be our first test fit and see if my measurements were right. Look at that, man. Perfectly butted up to it and everything. Dude, Milwaukee.
Man, that's a clean hole too. That's not bad.
Milwaukee, I mean, you could send me every single tool you have and I will put them to use. Yeah, perfectly clean hole. Wow, that is impressive. Let's get these 12mm bolts out. And then we got our plate with our holes that we misdrilled. Yeah, it's pretty close. It's not quite there, but it's definitely close. There, I think we're in business now, boys. Ta-da! So I got some flange bolts that have like a washer built into them. Flip it forward, drop this one in. Just like that. Put the nut underneath, which are nylon locking nuts. Now we got a brake mounted, but here's the trick. So we're gonna feed this guy in, and this guy is gonna be thread into this piece right here. So a bolt on top, a bolt on bottom. So we got a 6mm Allen wrench and a 13mm wrench. All right. Now I want to test it out. So tell Mike to get out of the driver's seat.
No, I want to test it out. Bam, 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 bam.
So we took a little break. Mike had something to go do, and I kind of finished working. I'm at least mounting this. Right now it's fully mounted. I've got everything all back hooked up and everything. One thing that I did when Mike was gone was I went ahead and cleaned up the bracket a lot. Kind of traced out the mount itself. Cut a little notch over here in so that the plastic that runs through right here would fit pretty well. It's super sturdy. I mean, other than putting a bar down below, which might be something we do, you could totally get away with this. Like, it's It's good. I'm super excited, super pleased with this. It looks awesome. It feels awesome. We're gonna move on to the next part, which is gonna be running and routing all of the lines and tying them into the hard brake lines. So now it's pretty much time to try and tap into the hard brake lines that run down the passenger side of the car here. I'm not sure exactly which one they are, but we have to get access to them at least. So we're gonna go ahead and pull the seat out and this couple of these plastic pieces here through the pillar and kind of see what we're working with. So there's only 4 bolts on the seat, 4 14mm bolts. The seat should just come right out. These do have heated seats, so there is going to be some electronics underneath, but it's just a clip. I'll show you that when we get there. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, unclip that. Battery's disconnected because I'm pretty sure that this is an airbag one. Okay, it slides back. There we go. Hey, look at that. There's some check slips.
What do we run?
11035 at 132.56. Not bad. All right, next thing is just to pop off this piece, which just should pop right off. Just right there.
There we go. Yeah.
Pretty much have access to this, the carpeting area here, because we're gonna have to peel that back. I need a flathead because there's these white clips that you're gonna have to like peel back as you lift up the carpet at the same time. From what I believe is these 2 lines here are the brake lines. And see what I was saying, Mike, about how they're vertical. So I honestly do not know which one is which. Maybe this indicator here tells us that this is left and this is right, but I don't know. Come on. Oh yeah. Okay, so in order to make this work, we're gonna have to strip all this off and get down to the actual bare hard line itself. So we're gonna use these, lay a bunch of them down on the floor itself, and it should be able to catch some. This is a diamond carbide blade, something I got off Amazon. It's what I use to sharpen tungsten. So if it's sharp enough to do that, it's probably strong enough to cut the brake line. All we're gonna do basically is just cut a little slit in it and let all the brake fluid drain out, because there's gonna be a lot of brake fluid that drains out. So that's probably the worst process of this all, is trying to catch it or, you know, absorb it and get it out so that we can flare the line and put the new fittings on. I don't know. I have no clue what I'm doing, guys, straight up. Yeah. You can roast me in the comments and tell me, oh, you should have used one of the pipe cutters, blah, blah, blah. Yep, totally forgot it. Sorry. Not sorry. We're gonna shove these towels underneath, just for extra caution. All right, wear some gloves too, because brake fluid is corrosive. Flinging brake fluid, not a good decision. Buy a pipe cutter. So due to our redneck engineering, we used a piece of power wire to tie back everything so that we could work in here pretty well. I have these fittings here. These are what are called compression fittings. So you have this little sleeve here that goes over the pipe, and then it has like your flare. So when you flare the end of the line, this should butt up to it. And then this guy just goes over it. And as it gets tightened, this other piece gets tightened into it, it creates a compression. This is a 3/16 compression fitting. So basically just slide those on there, and then we'll grab our flare tool. I might run a little razor blade in there real quick just to make sure that everything's all hunky-dory in the hole. Haha, that's what she said. This is a 37-degree flare tool, and from what I understand is you kind of just open it up and slide it to your desired diameter, which here we're going to be doing 3/16, and then you'll clamp it onto the end. This tool just slides over it, and you get it down to your 3/16, whatever, and then you'll just turn this, and this is what creates the flare. So we're kind of working around brake fluid, not gonna lie, whereas it drains. You wanna make it flush. Definitely get this pretty tight. As tight as you can, because the pressure of this guy pushing on it could potentially push the pipe out of the clamp. Okay, she's pretty much tight, so from here, let's just hope that she doesn't. I'm gonna kind of apply some pressure from the back side too. And pretty much just go until it's tight. Just like that. And then you can back it off. So now we've pretty much got it flared, so we're just gonna undo it. And I don't know if you can see, but now it has a flare on the end. So this guy will slide right up, which it looks like it did. So now that it's flared, this guy comes on here, and we're just gonna go ahead and thread our 90-degree fitting on. And see how these ends are flared as well. These are the 37 degrees that it has to match to, so pretty much just creates compression like that. And luckily you can kind of spin these guys, but we'll put an AN wrench and stuff on these just to clock them right. But from there we got one end hooked up, and then here these are -3 stainless steel braided brake lines. They're actually clutch lines, but clutch uses brake fluid too. So from here, this is gonna be the outlet. This is going to the caliper. So coming down from the brake master cylinder, you know, through the firewall, coming down the car would be, this line would be the inlet, the one that's draining, which is why there's probably a bunch of fluid coming out and not here. And then this line from here back would be the outlet, so directly to the caliper. Good morning, people. Welcome back. We're on day two of staging brake install. What you probably seen previous was us tying into this one line. We didn't know which side was which. You know, these lines were pretty much mounted up against the body vertically, and then they only split side by side here. So I didn't know if left was left and right was right, or vice versa. And I think we found out that it was backwards. Passenger was driver's side rear, and then driver's side was passenger side rear. So now that we knew that, we went ahead and tested the handbrake on the wheel itself, you know, just by turning it, and it works. It works really well. But now we want to go ahead and tie into both lines so that both rear tires work. Didn't have the proper tools and didn't have enough brake fluid. Unfortunately, we had to kind of let it drain out of the master cylinder so that we could get the flare tool on there and me not be covered in brake fluid. I don't know if any of you guys have worked with brake fluid, but it's kind of gross. Yeah, I went and got some new pipe bender to be able to bend the pipe, because we're gonna do it into both lines into a Y fitting, into a single line into this inline cylinder. So I got a pipe cutter so we don't have to use a Dremel again, and a pipe bender so that we can bend it at a 45-degree angle so that it'll fit into the Y. So this will be a little bit more trial and error, but I think we got a pretty good game plan from here. I've got this one, all the coatings already all stripped away and everything, and I've got the pipe cutter on here. So basically with something like this, all you do is just tighten it and you just slowly turn it around, and it will cut into it. You turn a little more and just keep going. Okay, so we're all hooked up at this point. I don't know if you guys can see. So basically what we've done is we've cut both of these lines in half, and we pretty much, I've bent them at a 45-degree angle with a pipe bender tool, and we've pretty much wired them into one line, which those lines run individually to the inlet of the cylinder, and then the outlet runs back, and then that one connects into these two lines and goes directly to the caliper. So you got two lines coming from the master, the car's stock master cylinder, into one line that feeds into the inlet. Outlet feeds back and then splits into two lines which go to both rear brake calipers. So other than that, all this is done in -3AN fittings with the 3ANY. Again, all Vibrant Performance fittings, only the best. At this point, I think we're ready to bleed the brakes. What do you think?
Yeah, let's get my Lamborghini kick started here, and
Lamborghini.
we'll get it going.
All right, well, let's get into putting that Lamborghini to use, I guess. And I'll go back to the calipers, and
at least we learned
them
we don't have to take the wheels off to bleed the brakes with your little fancy tool there.
Well, yeah, luckily Brembos are accessible that way. I know that Brembos have two bleeding ports, one on the front and one on the back, like of the caliper. So we're just using the front, which should be sufficient. We tested it yesterday with just one line to see if it actually worked, and it worked flawlessly. So we went ahead and tied it in like we had originally planned. I just wanted to make sure that everything was gonna work, and everything works great. I'm actually kind of shocked and actually very excited about it. So let's get to it. Quit wasting time. Quit running your mouth. So that's it, guys. That is it. At this point, everything is all back together. The handbrake works. I mean, you can even see it's saucy. I can't wait to put it up and see how well it really works. So, but with that, that's gonna end out the video. Don't forget to like this video. Drop a comment down below. Let us know how we did. Let us know if you want to put a staging brake in your car. Reach out. I mean, I don't know of many other videos on YouTube that show this, so share this video with a couple of your buddies. You know, if you guys are interested in drag racing and want to do a staging brake setup, you know, share this video with them. Help us get some traction with the drag community with the Subaru. So with that, I guess we'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.